I want to talk about harassment in games. And really, it comes down to uh, there has been historically and through many, many cases and scandals and everything else, it's abundantly clear that within the industry itself and within the game community and in the fandom, um, people of color, women especially, are treated quite poorly, and it extends to all parts of the game industry. Um, it's not the easiest thing for me to talk about. I'm a white man, and I'm not affected by this. Working in the game industry, the opportunities that are given to me, uh, I'm never being treated with much prejudice at all. But um, what I'd like to focus on today is the sort of ongoing issues with that we're seeing from Activision Blizzard, um, and what we're seeing not a year ago even was Ubisoft's own scandal. But I guess the best way to approach this is to really just talk about facts, because you can't argue with facts. Women account for 41% of gamers in the U.S. 41%. In the game industry itself, they're only represented by about 16% of the executive positions, and only 24% of non-executive positions. And the game industry is notorious for being male dominated, and often having a frat like atmosphere. People are expected to work long hours. Walls come down, people's personal walls come down, and it can start resembling, a late night, all nighter at a college. But that does not give excuse for the behaviors. And the problem is that because we have this sort of atmosphere in the game development as it is, the walls that do come down often lead to people's worst traits and disgusting behaviors that really alienate women and alienate people of color from the game industry. Let's take a look at a couple of the cases that have come up. We'll talk about Ubisoft first. It's the first where I think people were really, really speaking up and saying, like, this is totally unacceptable. And it focuses itself around Montreal, even though throughout Ubisoft as a corporate identity, it was pervasive throughout the whole thing. But there were at least two higher ups were being called out for harassing behavior, and really toxic, creating like a toxic workplace for people that were there. So much so that after it had been called out and after news picked it up, they ended up surveying their own people within Ubisoft itself, and I think it came out to 25% of the employees had said they were either victim to or witnessed harassment in some way, sexual, racial, whatever, were exposed to it. The problem is that when people came to speak up, they were met even worse, right? People were taking what they were being affected by and what they were being exposed to, and finally finding the courage to either go to HR or manager, or people within the organization or even the press and say something about it. And the way it was met with those was being dismissed or even treated more poorly, and the environment was allowed to continue on for years beyond that. And this is in 2020, so not that long ago. So heads rolled or whatever you want to call it, but people quit, people were laid off, and they started saying we're making a commitment to making it better. However, 2021 rolls around, Activision Blizzard starts seeing their own scandal, and what you're hearing from people within Ubisoft is the changes that they promised weren't really carried through. So let's talk a bit about Activision's case. There's more of the same, basically. It's like history repeating itself. And it's not just these 2 years. It's, again, this happens in the industry for decades, really. But either way, same thing. Activision Blizzard gets called out for frat-like behavior, toxic work ethic, work environment, and all the way up from the middle management and going up, people just not doing anything about it. And this is just unacceptable from the game industry in general. This is a game industry I've enjoyed my entire life. I want to see diverse voices. I want to see the other half of the population represented. I want to see the creative ideas come in from those people. Like the medium itself is a creative medium, and a creative medium works best when all voices are heard. People's experiences, their cultures, their race are represented in these things and come together to create a better piece of content for all of us to enjoy. And if we're not doing the bare minimum to create an environment for those people to work and exist and enjoy the things that I get to enjoy without any sort of real harassment, then we're failing as an industry. We're failing as a community. And this goes straight to fandom too. Like, it doesn't take you very much searching to look at the lawsuits that were leveled at Twitch for the way women are treated, or way people of color are treated, or spend 10 minutes on Xbox Live and, Call of Duty game and see how many times you get thrown a racial epithet just casually. This stuff needs to be called out. It's a toxic part of our society. It's a toxic part of the game industry, and it's particularly bad for some reason within our game industry, where people just seem to be like, well, that's what it is, and it really shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. We really shouldn't be silent when we see it. We shouldn't be, we should be speaking up and supporting those who are speaking up, and we shouldn't give any sort of doubt to the people who are saying something, because they're risking an awful lot to come up and say something about it. And the only thing I can say is, like, listen to those people. If you even have the slightest doubt in your mind about what those people are saying, I'd implore you not to take it from your own perspective, especially if you're a white male. Listen to them. Listen to them, what they're saying, what they've experienced, what their experiences are like, and maybe for like a couple seconds understand that maybe their experience is different than yours, and that experience just isn't acceptable if we want to be an inclusive industry, and we really want the most creative and widest visions possible for the content that we all enjoy. I think that's all I'll say on that. Just be an ally, be good to the people. Just in general, be good. Like, if you don't call this stuff out, you just allow it to fester and metastasize within the industry, and it's an industry I don't want to see fall apart or really rot from the inside. And it's small enough and inclusive enough where if you don't call it out, it will come back, and it will happen again, and you will be exposed to it again. So just do all our part, call it out when you see it.